Last episode, I left you guys on a cliffhanger. And that cliffhanger was on this episode, we're going to be using a block that has recently been revised to make a new farm. And that block is... Oh, that was supposed to be a dropper. That was supposed to be a dropper. Yeah, that block's TNT. Please stand by. I sure am glad that TNT now drops 100% of the blocks that it blows up. There we go. Good as new. Like it never even happened. Now, the reason why I'm over here in the shopping district to begin with was to show you what I've been working on kind of off of camera. However, I come across this over here, which is a new shop. And it's looking pretty cool. Hopefully I'm not doing any spoilers. But it looks like this is probably, if I had to guess, Sunflower Shop. And let's just take a real quick peek inside. This looks amazing. Hopefully I'm not doing any spoilers, and there's a good chance that her episode will probably release before mine. I accidentally fed him a golden carrot and now he's like super happy. Anyways, let me grab the horse that I rode in on, and we will head up this new path that I've been putting in. And thankfully Grumpy came over and gave me a hand as well, and that made it a lot easier to get this really knocked out and the framework at least done. Well, mostly done. But at least we have the infrastructure for the path done, if you will. Now we just have to go back, lay the path, and then do a bunch of decorating and a bunch of texturing and stuff like that. Anyways, this path goes through a couple cauldrons here, and this will actually lead all the way back to my main base, which is going to be the city, which gives us a nice little path. That way we have a straight shot from the actual city all the way over to the shopping district, instead of having to take the path that leads directly to the meadow and then the shopping district. A little extra work for a lot more efficiency, but I thought that it was pretty cool. And with these cauldrons going in here, I really got kind of like Super Mario vibes. I thought it was a neat touch to kind of get through a hillside. But yes, all of this is going to eventually be a path, and probably not going to have fences down along here. Maybe have some fences along the edges, only where it's kind of dangerous for players to fall off. But aside from that, we're just going to have the path that leads all the way over here. And it should be a nice, convenient route with a touch of scenery. Now, there is something that we do need to work on this episode, and that is going to very much involve the TNT. That's going to be a huge multi-farm over there inside of the city, which is going to be responsible for harvesting things like mud, clay, and even concrete, which we're going to be using a ton of inside of our city. So with that being said, let me go and gather up some materials, and let's jump into a time lapse and get this thing built. And after we get done building that, well, we might have time to come over here and build a swinging bridge. We'll have to see, because it's pretty sketchy walking across these dirt beams. Anyways, you guys know what time it is. Time lapse time. Let's go. Well, after a whole lot of building, this thing is actually finally done. Well, kind of close to being done. I still have quite a bit that I want to add into it, but right now it is actually functional, and I can actually give you guys a quick tour on how this thing works and how it's going to give us a ton of different materials. So without further ado, wait a minute. Somebody needs my help. Let's go. We cannot waste any time. Let's go. Now we just got to find her. She's got to be over here somewhere. Gigi?
Hello?
Oh.
Hello?
Hey.
What? Whoa!
I couldn't help but miss your signal. You called?
It's Stone Man!
Hi.
Hey! How you? Been a
I'm
while.
yeah. I'm assuming that you needed me, so I just came rushing over here.
Yeah. You caught my beacon.
Yeah, this is man, I feel special.
I've got some favors to ask you,
Okay.
if I may.
Well, I owe you many favors, so go on.
No, you do not. I have a couple of things in the shopping district that I need help with, and one here at my base.
Okay. Well, since we're closer to your base, do you mind if we start there first? Then we can head over to the shopping district.
Sure.
Okay, hold
Anywhere
on
around here.
1 second. I have to save your life real quick. There we go.
Whoa.
Minus one of those favors.
God, where's Bill?
Totally kidding.
That's funny.
So, what'd you have in mind?
Okay. Now, I've asked people in our public Discord server to help out with the little project that I'm doing to involve them as part of the server. And I want to get ideas for like tasks or pranks or nice things that we could do for each other. But I want them to be handed out randomly from for the players.
Okay.
It's really hard to explain. But what I need to do is have something that will randomly give me random shulker boxes, because everything that is going to be part of the viewer's idea
Okay.
is going to be in a shulker box. Everything that the player will need.
Okay,
So I just need something
so
to randomly shoot out shulker boxes.
will each thing that the viewers submit be in a shulker box?
Yes.
Okay. That sounds like a great idea.
And I don't know how big it will be or anything, so wherever is easiest for you to build it is fine with me, because I've got all of this base and nothing built.
Okay. So are you going to be building a kind of like a special building for it?
I could, if it's big enough, I will definitely cover it up with a building.
Well,
And I do have
do you
spots
have a
down here.
if you have a pre-existing location, I might be able to work with something already. As long as I can go
then let me
down
show you.
underground, I should have plenty enough space.
Oh, sure. These buildings here
Okay.
are empty.
Okay.
The stone walls are just kind of a rough area, and this spot right here will
Okay.
all be empty.
No, right? Do you have
Just need
anything
that.
that you were going to add to any of these? Or are they just going to be
Nothing
buildings?
at all.
Nothing at all. Okay.
It's just going to be buildings.
I could probably work with this one here. Just let me know a height
Okay.
limit, and if you want to keep it shorter, I can always go underground as long as there's enough room down underground.
Height doesn't matter. I can always build upward.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can get that taken care of right here. Now, you did say that there was a few other things that you needed help with?
Yep. And they're kind of in the shopping district.
Okay. We can head on over there.
So you want- Okay.
GG, you're running in the sky. Vendo machines, okay.
Yeah.
So-
The machines, and I think up here I marked it out. Yes. Head dumpster. Place to dump your head after you die. So the other players have access to your head in case you're not online when they need it.
Project Bedrock just started to sound like a 90s horror movie.
It only gets worse from here.
Okay, yeah, that actually sounds like a really cool idea. It would be really cool to have the player's head at all of our disposal. That way we can do a lot of cool decorations and stuff, since we have the player heads and the avatars on the server. Okay, so any specific thing that you want? I think I pretty much know what you want with the Vendo machine, unless you're wanting to do anything different. And then the head dumpster, what all did you have in mind with this? Just something to collect the player heads and then put it inside of like
something you could just
Okay.
walk by, toss your head in, and when somebody needs a head, they can just come along and find it.
Okay.
Grab it out of a shulker box or a chest or whatever.
Okay.
So this is probably super simple redstone for you. But
Okay.
it's not for me.
Now, with this, are you wanting to have this go down to where it can be collected for you? Or is it going to be a community thing?
Community thing.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, if I run into any more questions, I'll just let you know. But I think I got a pretty good idea what you want.
If you build the redstone, I'll put the dumpster around it.
But the dumpster's the best part. Well, okay.
Okay, you could do the dumpster.
No, it's okay. I'll take care of the redstone
More
for
than
you.
welcome to. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The vending machines are probably like season 1, aren't they?
yeah,
Or
for the
has
most
the
part.
redstone changed since then?
It shouldn't have. Unless you want something different, then pretty much that. Maybe I can make it a little smaller and more compact.
Whatever's easier for you.
How many are you wanting to put down throughout the entire season?
4.
4? Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Since we have so many players with so many different likes and dislikes, I'm gonna do one with protection, one with blast, one with fire, and one with the other one that I can't think of.
Just regular
Fire
protection?
resist, protect.
Okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
projectile protection.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I think they're doing
And
a
then
lot of
each
tweaking to
will
those.
offer-
It'll be cool if they add some more tweaking to those. That way it's not just, well, grab protection 4 and you're good to go. I think they're trying to balance it a lot more. So that should be a really good idea.
Hopefully.
Alrighty. Well, if
So,
I need
yep.
anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, let me know how much I owe you.
Oh, it's going to be a lot.
Luckily, I've been out in the end collecting a lot of diamonds so I can afford to pay you.
Oh, don't tell me that. Yeah, we'll come up with a price. It won't be too bad.
Use what you need out of the redstone shop as well.
Alrighty. Feel free to
Okay.
build another beacon if you need me again.
Okay, I definitely will. Well, maybe not. That thing was a nightmare to build.
I can only imagine. Alrighty.
Can't wait to tear it down. I hate that stupid thing.
ETA on how soon you need these done? Or is there one that
Whenever
you need done
get a
before?
chance. Nope, I'm asking it early enough in advance that it doesn't matter how quickly you get it done.
Okay. I'll probably start working on the one at your
Alright.
base first.
Awesome.
Okay, sounds like a plan. I see ya.
Thanks so much, Redstone Man. I'll see you later.
Bye, GG.
Bye. It's awkward when we fly in the same direction. Say goodbye.
Oh, here, I'll go diagonal. Sorry.
Okay.
Now, as promised, I'm going to be going over this here shortly, but me and Gigi were discussing payment, and I just kind of had a thought pop into my head. You remember that rope bridge from the beginning of the episode? Yeah. Why don't we have Gigi build that? And that should be a pretty good payment. If she'll build it, that is. So let's head over there while she's online and see if she's interested. Oh, Gigi.
Hello?
It's me again. Except I can't find you this
I
time.
can hear you, but I don't see you.
Are
I'm
you
in the water.
down in the water?
The
Whoa!
dock.
I'm a little clumsy. It's me.
Oh, hey!
I was here all along.
You're back.
Yes. So I was thinking we were discussing payment, but something popped into my head as soon as I started to fly away. I have a project that might fit your forte.
Oh? You want to show it to me?
Yeah. It should be right over here, actually.
Okay.
So I've been building this path over to the shopping district, and I come across this void that I needed a bridge to go across, and I was going to put kind of like a rope bridge here, if that would be something that you would be interested in building. Something just to get
Absolutely.
across this gap that I'd be able to take a horse over.
I would be more than happy to build something here for you.
Really? Okay.
It's a
Because that would
challenge,
take...
but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you have full reins to do whatever you would like. And I'm
Cool.
sure with you building it, it's going to look phenomenal, so no pressure.
Oh, stop. Thank you. Is there a time frame you would like to have this done?
No, it's just whenever. I've been kind of taking my horse across these dirt lines, which is very, very sketchy because I am particularly fond of this horse that I have after massacring about 50 of them. So I'm trying not to let him meet his demise down in the riverbanks.
Right.
And I feel like having a wider path would be very beneficial for not only me, but the horse as well.
Exactly. It's a bit precarious just going on this little bit, especially on a horse.
Yes. Yeah, there's a few times that I thought that I was surely going to fall off. Alrighty.
Yeah, definitely. I will happily build a bridge here for you.
Okay.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. Good challenge.
Alrighty. Well, you build this, and I will build as you requested, and then we'll see where we stand at the end. And if anything, I could pay you, or you can pay me, whichever way it goes.
I still feel like I need to pay you.
Ha! I knew that there was going to be a log in this one. Oh, you don't need to pay me.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, whenever you get around to it.
Definitely. I'll let you know when it's finished.
Alrighty. Thank you so much.
No problem. Talk to you later.
Bye. Now I know that you guys have been waiting quite some time in order to see this, so let's jump into it and take a look at it. Although in this clip you might notice that my voice is a little off, and that's because a couple weeks ago I ended up coming down with the flu and have totally lost my voice and have not quite gotten it back yet. And that's the reason for not uploading a ton of videos as of lately, so there should be some more coming. And in the meantime, I apologize for my hideous voice that you're going to have to listen to. Now in building this, there is a few different things that I wanted to achieve. One, keeping this a very tall but narrow structure, that way it could fit nicely inside of a city building. However, the main thing that I wanted to design this build around is going to be a TNT blast chamber, and that's because with recent updates we now have TNT that drops 100% of the drop rates, which is something that we've been waiting for on Bedrock Edition for a very long time. So this is pretty much where all of the business happens. Here we have a small hole that drops TNT out, and it's going to blow it up right at the ideal time to be able to drop all of these down into the funnel and ultimately going down that hole. Now after I cover the rest of the building, I'll show you where that hole goes and what exactly happens once all of the material go down there. Now you might notice that these material lines are actually 4 different columns that are pushed into the blast chamber, and the reason for that is ideally just to keep all of the pistons and all of the redstone away from the blast area. If we come further up the scaffolding here, you'll see that we have multiple different bits of redstone pushing these blocks all over the place, and also some other farms that are kind of just put in wherever they fit. I'll go more into the detail on these smaller farms here shortly. What I want to focus mainly on is going to be all of these bits of concrete snaking around. Now these are all of the material lines that are going to feed that blast chamber. And if we go up here, we actually have the one line that comes down after it's fed from the actual concrete machine, and then that one line is going to be pushed into 4 lines using this little contraption here. So as complicated as this thing looks, it's actually not complicated at all. We basically just have 4 pistons, and these 4 pistons will all get powered as soon as a material block is here, which will then complete the circuit powering this redstone dust. Then the redstone dust just snakes up all the way around to power all 4 pistons, and that's going to be able to push 4 of those out, each going in their own direction every time 4 blocks go into the system. Pretty cool, huh? Now I think showing you this part might be best done in spectator mode because climbing this thing can be a little on the hairy side. However, eventually all of these are going to have their dedicated floors to where it's going to be pretty easy to navigate. What you're looking at here is going to be really the heart of the blast chamber. This is going to be the TNT dispenser, and it's going to start off over here at this slime tower. This slime tower is actually going to pull that redstone block up whenever it detects a backup in the system. The way that we're doing that is pretty straightforward. Whenever there is a block inside of here, it's going to power that redstone dust, which will then power that piston. However, if that block does not move, it's not going to be able to turn off the torch fast enough and unpower this repeater on a 4-tick delay, which means whenever the material is going through there normally, it's not going to be in there long enough in order to unpower this. However, once the system is detected to back up, then it's going to have a block in there long enough to actually unpower this, pulling up the slime block, which will then power this circuit. Now, once this circuit is powered, this redstone block is going to power that obsidian that it's on, which is then going to power that dropper, dropping out a piece of TNT. However, we have a time circuit here that's going to wait to drop that TNT until the perfect time. Because that TNT is going to be an entity form whenever it's dispensed, we're using water to align it solely up against the corner there. And then once the timer has run out and it's ready to be dropped, then we're going to unpower a piston down here, which is going to retract that block, and it's going to send it down here to the blast chamber. So as you can see, it's really straightforward. It's just kind of a lot going on. But if we go further up to the next floor here, we're going to have the floor that actually has the concrete machine on it. Now, this concrete machine is one that I built a while ago, and I do have a tutorial on it if you're interested in making this. This will not only make concrete, which is predominantly why I used it, but it will also make mud. And with that mud, you can also make clay and quite a few of different variants of blocks. Like I said, this is an incredible machine here, and it's very simple and easy to build. I will link that down inside of the description below if you guys are interested in making this farm. But it does have a couple different modes, so if we want to use concrete like we're doing here, we want to make sure that this is powered on. And this is essentially just going to keep this piston extended. That way it backs up the system and it's not going to allow this piston to push up any longer. Then since this piston cannot push up any longer, it's just going to push it through, and then it's going to go down into the area that I was just showing you, which will then ultimately take it down to the blast chamber. And just to do a quick demonstration of that, because that lamp is powered on, you'll see whenever I start feeding these into the system here, that they're going to bypass that vertical line and not go up into that white and black concrete stream. They are instead going to go over and down into the blast chamber, which is exactly what we need them to do because we're already converting the concrete powder into concrete once it passes this water source here. So you might be wondering what happens to this material that gets pushed straight upwards. Well, right now it has concrete in it because I was doing some testing, so this concrete should not ideally be inside of the vertical stream. But this vertical stream is going to be for mud to go up, and it's basically going to be snaked around a couple big drying racks. And then it's all going to be converted into clay. And then once it's converted into clay, it's going to come right back down here, which is then going to snake around to the other side of this material pusher. And it's going to be pushed down into the stream in order to find its way down into the blast chamber. To demonstrate that, we're just going to turn off this lever to put the machine back into mud mode. And we're going to turn off this lever, which is going to unbind this circuit and allow it to be able to accept the new mud that's going to be placed into there. And now that that system is unbinded, we can go over here and start placing in our dirt. And as you can see, instead of it going sideways, you would think since I designed and built this thing almost 2 years ago that I'd know how to use it. Nope, absolutely not. No worries, at least it is an easy fix. And this is one of the reasons why I love Bedrock. You see, there used to be water here, but because of Bedrock bugs, I don't even know how this dirt got in here and deleted the water, but it did. Gotta love Bedrock. Anyways, for this to work properly with the mud, we are going to want to put this on a 4-tick delay, which is of course why it was not working previously. So now if we crouch and go ahead and place some dirt in, you can see that we actually have time for that conversion to take place. I'm of course going to remove this little bit of dirt here. And yeah, as you can see, we have the mud conversion taking place, and that's going to make its way up into that drying rack to be dried out and turned into clay. And then with all of this clay, we can make a bunch of different things such as terracotta. We can also make brick blocks and things of that nature. And then if we wanted to have the mud to go down through the system, that way we could actually use that. We would just turn this on just like we would with concrete. And we would then start placing in more mud. That way we can back the entire clay system up. And then as soon as that entire clay system gets backed up, then it's going to stop making its way vertical. And as you can see, it filled my water in again. And now that system is totally backed up, it's going to start skipping and going down into the blast chamber. Now the wonderful thing about all that mud is we could turn that into mud bricks and packed mud and all kinds of mud variants, which is absolutely wonderful. However, we are going to need wheat to do that. And that's where this little multi-farm comes in. So we can go ahead and grab some seeds. And if we're doing a ton, we can place the seeds inside this dropper, which will recirculate it. However, we can come up here and just place these seeds in, and it's going to make a ton of wheat very, very quickly. Once we're done getting all of our wheat, we can go ahead and pick this up, throw it back down into this collection chest here, and then we have all of the wheat that we'll ever need. And as you can see, this does do a wide variety of different things as well. If you're interested in making this, I'll link that down inside the description as well also. Now you might have noticed all of this jungle wood to the side here, and this is going to be another one of those farms that are just kind of snaked in wherever they fit. So you can take all of your cocoa beans and just work side to side, placing in all of these cocoa beans. And then as soon as these are all filled up on both sides, the front and the back, you'll be able to hit the button over here, which is in a horrible location currently. And that will drop all those cocoa beans down after they're fully grown into this hopper, and then they're going to be taken downstairs. Making our way back up to the final floor here, we have a huge flower farm. And this flower farm is going to be responsible for making, well, you guessed it, a ton of flowers. But more importantly, a ton of dye. So if we come up here, you will see that this thing is pretty crazy. And this is one of the flower farms that I have designed several years ago. This thing's going to put out, I believe, 110,000 flowers per hour, which is a whole lot of flowers. Not that we need that many flowers, but it is nice not to be able to have to wait around. So all you're going to do is break a piece of dirt next to the dropper, and then place the flower down directly underneath that dropper, replace the dirt, and then you come over here and hit this switch here. That's going to turn the entire farm on, and it's going to make a ton of flowers, and then push them all down to the bottom floor. Now once we turn this off, there is a manual rinse button here where you could just take that and push all those flowers all down into the stream, and then that's going to ensure that they all get pushed down. That way it's not lagging out the server. Now on top here, you might notice that there is a ton of chests here. We have this on this side that's just going to be bone meal, and then we have this side that's going to take the actual bone blocks, and then once you put bone blocks in here, this crafter is going to craft it into this chest whenever this chest has room inside. Now as you can see, this chest is almost all the way filled up, so once it drops below a threshold, that crafter is going to start refilling it. And this is really convenient because we're able to take the bone blocks from over at the skeleton spawner, and we're able to move them all the way over here, which is going to allow for a quick, easy conversion. And then once they're converted into bone meal, you can see that it not only feeds this flower farm, which takes a absolutely astounding amount of bone meal, but it also has a line going down where it's going to feed all of the other farms inside of this tower that require bone meal. Now if you have a keen eye, you might have noticed that down here there's actually some more farms. So if we look into the barrel here, you can see that we have quite a few different plants. If we want to make some rose bushes, we could just open this up, plant a 2 tall flower in there, close that up and turn this on. And as you can see, we're going to get a ton of those 2 tall rose bushes, which are going to be nice to 1, decorate with, and 2, turn it into dye. Now that not only applies for the rose bush, but it does also apply for all of the other 2 tall flowers here. If we want some sugar cane or some bamboo, we're just going to grab this and make our way over here where we could place this down on that mud, and then we're going to turn that same lever on, and that's going to start the bone meal process and then start harvesting a ton of that sugar cane. And as you can see, everything's routed over here and is automatically dispensed where it's going to find its way, you guessed it, at the bottom of the tower. Once we're done with the seed crop, we'll just place that back in here. If you wanted to make some hanging roots, you would just grab your shears and then turn the same lever on, and you could just sit here and shear all of these. And then you're going to get a bunch of rooted dirt falling down, and then that's going to make its way down below as well. We can turn that back off, and then I'm actually going to place my shears up here, that way we have them for next time. And then if we want to do some sea pickles, which are great for not only decorating but also making lime green dye, we can just place a sea pickle in there, close that up, turn that on, and then that's going to make a bunch of sea pickles as well to be dispensed down below, which is wonderful. Now you might notice one of 2 things. One, whenever I'm done using these farms, I am actually removing the seed crop and placing it inside of this barrel. And the reason for that is we actually have 1 lever to power all of these farms, and as long as these farms don't have anything in front of them, they are actually not going to be using any bone meal. And yes, that even includes the rooted dirt dispenser on the back here, because it's not detecting that the rooted dirt has actually grown. It's not going to use any bone meal as well, which is great. However, that does mean that we can do 2 things. We can actually do multiple different types of materials at the same time, and we can also set up this entire multi-farm without the fear of having to lose any additional bone meal that we're not actually using, which is wonderful. Now you might notice something that a lot of these little micro farms that are all dotted around have in common, and that is dye. The vast majority of these are going to be used to make dye, so we can send that material down to the very bottom, and then that's going to be made to use dye. That way we can get all of our different concrete colors, and if we ever want to dye any type of terracotta or wool or anything like that, we'll be able to dye that as well. Which begs the question, what is at the bottom floor? And that's going to be a huge sorting system. Now, as you can see, I'm not quite done with this sorting system yet, but it is definitely coming along, and I do apologize that it has not been on the actual time lapse. And apparently that creeper that blew up over here earlier blew up a bunch of my glass too, so I'll get that fixed. However, we have everything over here that's going to be sorted out. Now with all of these flowers, these are going to be all of the flowers and also some of these over here that are responsible for making dye. Now these two green material we are actually going to need to smelt down first in order to turn that into dye, and that's what this contraption is here. So as this cactus farm and the sea cucumber farm actually produces the material, it's going to find its way down into here, and then once these shulker boxes are filled up, it's automatically going to stop dispensing into them. However, that's only after these droppers down here are going to be backed up, so we're going to have quite a bit of storage on hand for the green dye. And then once the furnaces back up with the cactus and the sea cucumber, then we'll be able to store these in its raw form. The wither roses down here can be crafted into black dye, however they probably won't be because we do have quite a bit of ink sacs from the squid farm. However, we are going to have a pretty simple array of crafters that are going to be responsible for crafting these into raw dye. Well, I mean, that's the plan anyways. I mean, realistically, all of these dyes can just be crafted inside of the inventory, so it's not a huge deal. However, I do think that it would be pretty cool to be able to store not only the flowers in their raw form, but also the dye in their raw form too. Now you might also notice that we have some other materials here. These are all going to come from the different multi-farms. Excluding the melons and pumpkins, these are going to actually be added in at a later time. And then over here at the end, we also have our mud blocks, our clay blocks, and our clay balls. These clay balls are actually going to need to be crafted into the clay blocks. That way it can be resent up into the sorting system. That way it can go around again and end up inside of this chest. Because that's currently not taking place, we're just going to have all of the clay balls ending up inside of this sorting system. So yeah, as you can see, there's still plenty that's incomplete here, but definitely got a good start on it. And apparently I'm losing cactus due to this creeper explosion. Get in there. Over in this array, you might have noticed that we have a ton of concrete, which is already set to filter out, which is working very, very well. Now, before I forget about this, I think that it's best that I actually patch this up. That way we're not losing that material. Okay, good as new until the next creeper comes and blows everything up. But I think showing this next part is probably going to be best done in spectator mode. So let's go down underground, and you'll be able to see a little system here that we have. Basically everything falls down the center here, and I think it's best that I probably just go to the top. That way you kind of get an idea of the entire system. So everything in the top is going to find its way down through this tunnel here, and then that's just going to fall down into the water stream, which is going to funnel into the center and make its way all the way down here. Once it's made down here, it's basically going to go into a loop that goes all the way around. These hopper minecarts are going to pull the material out of that loop as long as they have room inside of those hopper minecarts, and then it's basically going to send it down into this storage buffering system. Once it detects that there is indeed some items inside of this system, it's going to dispense them into this dropper, which is then just going to come up and make it go all the way around here, which is then going to take the items around the big loop of the sorting system to be pulled out. And then if the sorting system does not happen to pull that item out, it's just going to go back into the loop here. So it's essentially a big continuous loop. That way it actually has time to deal with the large amount of items that are going to be coming through this system. Now the reason why we can do this large loop like this is because there's never really going to be anything in this system that is not assigned a sorting area, which is going to be different from a regular sorting system where you just pile in shulker boxes and have it unload all of your stuff into all of your dedicated storage. So since everything's going to be pulled out, we don't have to worry about any materials not being accounted for, which is wonderful. I swear this server has 5-minute days. Now I've pretty much covered all of this, however I'm not sure if I have covered the rest of the stuff over here. I kind of lose track of what I've showed you guys because I haven't been able to make videos very often lately. However, we have our squid farm over here, which is not only a squid farm, but it's also a fish farm, a drown farm, and possibly even a dolphin farm, unintentionally. It wasn't on purpose, okay? But basically everything gets sent down here into a trident killer. And then we have all of our different drops down here. As you can see, we get an actual ton of copper, tridents, and then also a ton of different heads, nautilus shells. And if I were to clean this out, I'm sure we have some ink backed up in there as well. So yeah, an absolute ton of a variety of items. And if you're wondering where all the bone meal comes from, this little tower here is kind of just marked on this hole, where you can just drop all the way down here to this skeleton spawner. And got a nice little room here. And this is basically going to feed these skeletons once they spawn down into this funnel. And that funnel is going to bring them up into this trident killer. Again, I think this is one of those spectator moments. So this is a pretty uniquely designed trident killer that I have designed. I haven't released this on tutorial. However, I can if you guys would like me to. We have this stream that leads all these skeletons into here. And once we get more skeletons, it's going to, of course, bump him into that stream. And this is actually going to bring them up to where the trident killer is fed from the bottom. That's going to push them into the trident killer. And then once they're chopped up by the trident, then all of the material is going to be pulled out and go into this crafter, which will then, of course, fill up all that with bone blocks. If I could find my crafting table to get out of spectator mode. There we go. So if we go down here, I have recently emptied this, but as you can see, as this is filling up, it's going to start making bone blocks. So now that I think that I got you guys caught up on all of the stuff that's been going on the server in between making videos, I feel like it's time to key you in on the status of the Project Bedrock server. You might have noticed on my community page that I have recently stepped down as the owner of the Project Bedrock server, and thus doing this has led to a complete different rebranding of the group and pretty much the vast majority of the group parting ways. Now from this point going forwards, this world is going to be a lot different because there's not going to be the same familiar faces that you know on it. I'm still up in the air whether or not I'm planning on rebuilding the server or if I'm just going to finish up the city playing this as a single player world. I would really hate to lose all of the progress and hours that I have spent digging this out and also planning this. I really want to see this come together, and I know a lot of you guys share the same mindset. So whether or not I decide to bring on a new group of members here, or if I'm just going to grind this out on the single player world, I have not entirely made up my mind yet. And I know that you guys have a ton of questions as to what transpired between all of the members, and I assure you there are going to be some answers. But because this video has been long enough, it's not going to be on this video. I am putting together a video that is going to explain everything. However, I am actually going to be scripting this video. That way everything comes across the exact way that I want it to come across. That video should be coming out within the next following week. I do apologize for the slow videos as I have returned to work and I'm no longer a full-time content creator. I'm just a part-time content creator. But I do still have the love, drive, and desire for this game to keep making content for you guys. And I appreciate you guys sticking by my side throughout all of this stuff that's been transpiring. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to finishing this world with you guys. And I really can't wait to share the image in my head that I have for the city with y'all. With that being said, thank you for all the support. Thank you for the 2,500 subs and the almost 100,000 views on my recent tutorial, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.